What's up, everybody? Matt Murphy here at Stick Library headquarters for sticklibrary.com. I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome you and thank you for coming and joining us. This is going to be one of our lessons in the Beginning Drums series for sticklibrary.com. So what I'd like to talk about first, I'm assuming since this is beginning drum lessons, I'd like to talk to you about stroke and grip. So let's first talk about the grip. What I look for in my grip is a good fulcrum. That's a good starting point. And a fulcrum basically is just a fancy word for your balancing point of your stick. And on my Vic Firth sticks, I find that the balancing point, for me at least, is on this Vic Firth American flag, which is kind of cool. It's got you a place where you can put your thumb. So that's where I start. So I'm going to put my thumb on the Vic Firth flag, and then I'm going to put my first finger on the opposite side of my thumb. And basically what I'm thinking in my head is I've got a pin through my first finger and my thumb, so they stay there. It's all there. Your back fingers, all they're going to be is like a bumper on a pinball machine, and it just controls the stick. So if you were to throw the stick down without using your back fingers, you really don't have too much control. What I want to do is have as much control over the tools that I'm using as possible. So I am going to use my back fingers to control the stick. And basically, the stick just sits in this little pocket of your hand, right here. It's going to sit in that little pocket. So as you can see, my hand is pretty far back on the stick. And what you do is you just throw it down on the drum head, and pretty much it's going to die into the drum head. So here's an example. There's no bounce to it. A relatively no bounce to it, okay? If you go too far up, you're going to have a bad stroke too. So you don't want to be too far up. You don't want to be too far back. You want to be right in the middle. And like I said, about an inch and a half, inch to an inch and a half outside of the back of your hand. So at the butt end of the stick, you've got about an inch and a half. So we've got that. Now, right in the middle, here's an example of a good fulcrum. See how it's bouncing multiple times, and you're getting a good bounce out of it. Okay? So that's how you can tell you've got a good fulcrum or a good balancing point on your stick. So that's a good place to start. Okay, so like I said, match grip, if you do it with your right, you're going to do it with your left. So same thing goes for your left hand. I'm not going to take time to explain that right now. Just whatever you did with your right, you do with your left, okay? All right, so now we want to talk about stick position, and we're talking about a snare drum now. We're not talking about the drum set. We're talking about just simply a snare drum or one surface, whatever that surface might be. It could be a practice pad, could be a hi-hat. In this case, we're going to use the snare drum. So again, you're going to find your fulcrum and on both hands, and you're going to put your hands down to your side. And now what you want to do is you're just going to act like you're sitting at a kitchen table, okay? And you want to put your hands up on the table. So even without the sticks, let's do it first without the sticks. I'm bringing my hands up, and they're resting on the table. So I'm not completely perpendicular to the ground, and I'm not completely parallel to the ground. I'm somewhere in the middle. And if you do this little exercise, even without the sticks, if you bring your hands up and put them on the table, and you bring your hands to parallel, you're going to feel a little tension here in both hands. Just a little bit, but it's going to be noticeable, okay? So you don't necessarily, what I try to go for is as relaxed as I can possibly be. I don't want any tension or as little tension as I can possibly have. So bring your hands up, put them on the table, and as you can see, they're going to be at a slight angle. Okay? So let's put our sticks in our hand now and see what that looks like. Okay, so I got my fulcrum happening in both hands. Feels pretty comfortable. One thing I do want to mention about these back fingers real quick, they're just a bumper for, it's kind of like a bumper on a pinball machine. All they're doing where the bumper on the pinball machine is controlling the ball, our bumper, which is our back three fingers, is controlling the stick more. Okay? So they're just sitting back there. You're not holding them tight. and you're not completely loose, okay? They're just kind of sitting there. So one more thing I'd like to mention real quick before we do this little exercise is a lot of band directors teach where they want this part of your hand closed and tight. And I would like to offer to you this suggestion. If you tighten that, then you're also creating tension in your arm, okay? So what I'm going to call this for right now is the mouth of your hand, or the mouth of your grip. And I don't necessarily want that to be tight because, as you can see, it's creating tension in my arm. We don't want that. So I'm keeping that open. And it's basically just a little bit open. It's not, you're not loose to where you're going to lose the stick, but you're tight enough to where you got a good handle on the stick, and then this mouth is open, okay? All right, so hopefully that's understandable. Now I'd like to show you our starting position on a single surface, or on, in this case, a snare drum, okay? So again, we're going to put our hands to our sides. We're going to bring our hands up like we're at a kitchen table or some kind of card table or whatever, and we bring them up. Now, again, you're going to notice I'm not parallel to the ground or my palms flat, and I'm not perpendicular to the ground where my thumb is completely on top, okay? And you're at about a 45-degree angle. Our mouth is open here. Our fulcrum is intact. Our back fingers are on the drumstick, okay? And all we want to do is bring the right hand up and throw the stick down. That's it. So here's an example. Okay? Nice and loose. Again. And you want to do the same thing with your left hand. Remember, match grip, it's just the same. So here's your left hand. And really kind of how I think of this is, most of us have played basketball or have dribbled a basketball, and we want to make it like we're dribbling a basketball. We don't dribble a basketball like this. We dribble it nice and loose, right? So it's the same thing, same kind of deal. We want it nice and loose, and the stick is going to be, it's going to be kind of a whipping type of motion, okay? So let me give you an example with the right hand. Just a whipping kind of motion. There's your stroke. Okay? There's your stroke. And that's a nice solid stroke. It sounds good. We're hitting our drum right in the middle of the drum. Directly in the middle of the drum. And again, we're doing this in a whipping type motion. Okay? Now, same thing with the left hand. So, got our fulcrum happening, got our sticks, or got our fingers around the back side of the stick. For the bumper, our stick is resting in the palm of our hand nicely, okay? And again, it's a type of a whipping motion. Not real stiff like this. Now watch this and you can see the difference. So again, a whipping motion. And a good exercise to use to kind of start to facilitate this and kind of get the feel of what you need to do is you'll do 8 on your right hand, and then you'll flip it and you're going to do 8 on your left hand. Now, the secret to this is try to make both hands sound the same. We do not want one hand to be real loud and then the other hand to be real soft. We want them to be as identical as possible. We're human beings. We're not a machine. So it's not going to be exact. But we want them to be as close to exactly the same as we can. So I'm going to give you an example at a nice little tempo, and it's going to be 8 on the right, 8 on the left, 8 on the right, 8 on the left, and a tap. Okay? So here you go. I'll count you off. 1, 2, 1, 2, ready, play. Okay, that's the exercise. Real simple. 8 on a hand. 8 right, 8 left, 8 right, 8 left, tap. So here we go. I'm going to do it a little bit faster. 1, 2, 1, 2, ready, go. Again, ready, go. Okay, that's it. So I'm going to do an exercise, and we're going to repeat this probably, let's repeat it 8 times so you can play along with me, okay? I'm going to give you a count off. We're going to do right hand, left hand, tap, space in between, and then we're going to do it again, okay? I'll give you the counts. 1, 2, 1, 2, ready, go. Two, again, go. Two, again, go. Two, again, go. Four more times, go. More times, and two more times. One more, here we go. I'm going to go ahead and take that same exercise and I'm going to slow it down just a pinch so it might be a little bit easier for some of you to grab. We're going to do it 4 times and we're going to do the exact same thing. So 8 on a hand and just slower, all right? 1, 2, 1, and 2, ready, go. Ready, go. Third time. Last time, here we go. Okay, so that's a little bit slower. I'm going to kick it down one more notch. All right? 1, 2, 1, 2, ready, and. Ready, again. Third time, here we go. Last time, here we go. Okay, so that, we're just going to call that eighths. And that's a good beginning exercise for you to start with to get your fulcrum together, to get your stroke together. Make sure both hands are sounding at least similar to each other. Remember the bumpers. Remember the nice fluid stroke and how you bounce a basketball. You bounce a basketball really fluidly. You're not bouncing a basketball like this. There's a big difference in how it looks and how it sounds if you're real stiff and tight. Again, this is Matt Murphy for StickLibrary.com. Thank you for joining me in this lesson, one of many in our beginning drum series for StickLibrary.com. I'm looking forward to seeing you again.